Before we start, let's just pray. Jesus' name. Amen. Father, we bless you for who you are. We exalt you for there is none like unto thee. We give you our utmost for your kindness, and we ask you that you take preeminence and control of everything we will do today. We hand over those things to you. We ask you, O God, have your way, take charge. Everything that we need to learn, oh God, Father, we pray for a teachable spirit. We pray for an open mind in the name of Jesus, that Father, we will be impacted with knowledge that will abide. And Father, we will go ahead, oh God, and implement. And as we implement King of Glory, it will be, and those fruits will abide in the name of Jesus. Have your way and take charge of everything, my Father. For in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen. Good morning once again. Good morning once again. So before we start, I want to read a short profile of the speaker before I bring him in. So just get ready. Just get ready. We are about to fly. Just get ready. Okay. So our speaker today is Folawiyo Biodun. Folawiyo Biodun is an award-winning entrepreneur, a trainer, speaker, and entrepreneur. He fills these roles as follows: the entrepreneur. Biodun is the group head, Shoe Speed Group. He founded Shoe Speed Group in 2002 as an undergraduate in the University of Lagos, Nigeria. Over the years, he has grown the Shoe Speed brand into one of Nigeria's leading shoe and leather accessories brand. The Shoe Speed Group has also evolved into 3 arms, namely a manufacturing arm, a design/marketing arm, and an academy. Biodun was profiled and rated among the 200 successful upcoming entrepreneurs in 2011, and his enterprise has gained the attention of the federal government of Nigeria, which awarded him the UWIN grant. And just recently, he was a recipient of the Diamond Bank PLC sponsored Building Entrepreneurs Today, a scholar program at the Enterprise Development Center of the Lagos Business School, Pan Atlantic University. In a strategic move to conquer Nigeria's shoe retail market, the Shoe Speed design and marketing arm teamed up with Italian manufacturers to build a partnership that will enhance the design and the quality of their leather offerings to a broader range of Nigerians' fashion-savvy consumer audience. Biodun cut his teeth in the area of human capital development in Community Development Initiative, CDI, where he worked extensively with youths and teenagers at Fifth Gear Consulting, where he served as the head of operations and trainer. Fifth Gear is an avant-garde training and management consulting firm, with clients that include at least one of the top 3 organizations in every major sector of the Nigerian economy. As a trainer, Biodun's knowledge and skills as a human capital advisor has been utilized via facilitating diverse soft skill trainings in organizations such as First Bank, PLC, First Registrars, UAC, FinBank, Intercontinental Bank, Lamata, Globacom, and MTech Communications, Lagos State Government and the United Nations Information Center, etc. Biodun has also trained innumerable entrepreneurs in the art and business of shoemaking, and he has worked as shoemaking training consultant with the United Nations Information Center, Lagos, Lagos Empowerment and Resource Network, LEARN, Microsoft Nigerians, IQ Project, Daystar Christian Center Skill Acquisition Project, DSAP, Reading Christian Church of God, RCCG, Adoniran Ogunsoya College of Education, Oshodi Satellite Campus, and Living Christ Spring Apostolic Ministry, CLAM, etc. Over the years, he had successfully conducted training in the following areas: team dynamics, business communication, change management, personal effectiveness, emotional intelligence, personal excellence and productivity, creating organization growth, managing teams, conflict management and resolution. Socialpreneur. Biodun serves as the coordinator of Name It, Ni Adesanya Mass Empowerment Initiative, the corporate social responsibility arm of Fifth Gear Consulting, which is saddled with the responsibility of equipping undergraduates with the required orientation, attitude, and knowledge to survive and thrive beyond campuses. In addition to the above, Biodun has also been the program's coordinator of Click First with Ni Adesanya, an empowerment initiative sponsored by Etisalat Nigeria, now 9 Mobile, across Nigerian campuses, Biodun has coordinated and facilitated the successful implementation of Click First with Ni Adesoyan in over 60 higher institutions in Nigeria. He's married with Biodun Folawiyo, a beauty professional, and they are blessed with 2 kids. Now with Jesus' joy, join me and make welcome Folawiyo Biodun, the Shoe Speed Stadium. Good
Thank
morning.
you so much. Good
You're
morning,
welcome.
Mark. Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. And also, I tender unreserved apologies for coming in about 3 or 4 minutes late. My system just suddenly developed an issue and all, but thank God we've been able to, handle that. All right. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, sir. You have the floor.
Yeah. All right. Oh, thank you, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And it's my greatest pleasure to be here. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Divine. I've known Dr. Divine for many years. At least I met him before he became a doctor. So that's also a privilege. All right. And so this morning, as much as possible, I would want to share my journey with you as touching entrepreneurship. I would also try to share some basic principles and some, would I call it, principles and secrets that has brought me this far. Well, I believe, like I tell people, I've not started yet. I believe I'm still scratching the surface. But the journey of entrepreneurship has been very interesting. It's a continuous school, and it's a continuous exercise. All right. So as much as possible, my coordinator, I would want you to, as much as I'm the one speaking, you're the one coordinating. All right. I don't like to, especially when I'm holding a Zoom session like this. I always want to carry people along. I don't want it to seem very, boring. I don't know if you get what I mean. Yeah. So at every point in time, you probably want to ask questions or clarity as you get a few things I've said. You can just raise up your hand, and my honorable and able coordinator would then, take charge. I think I'm good. I'm good with that. All right. So yeah, so I started my journey roughly about 20 years ago. I started with this urge of I love to make money. I love to create value. I love to add value to existing product or service or resources. I also love to be a blessing to humanity. All right. And again, one of my popular uncle, the late Biodun Folawiyo, was known to be a business guru. He has always been my mentor. And although my own father was a professor, was an academician, his own thing was much about, teaching and all of that. But I've always wanted to run successful businesses. All right. So I started up as a mere trader. I sold different things from eggs. My immediate elder brother had his farm way back like 25 years ago. So at some point, he had a poultry farm. I started to sell eggs on his behalf when I'm not in school. At some point, I graduated into selling chin-chin. My elder sister was very fantastic when it comes to making confectionaries like cookies, chin-chin, cake, and all. So I also graduated into selling chin-chin when I'm in school to my friends during, lunch break and all of that. Then afterwards, I got into selling electronics. I knew I sold some bit of Dixman, if you know what I mean. Dixman, for the person joining us that probably have not heard about Dixman before because of your age. It's like a mobile device that you insert your CD. I sold that. Some point, I thought that, hey, Biodun, you need to increase your level of income. And I thought that, look, what else can I do that will give me good level of income? Then I thought of selling cars. All right. I didn't have a car showroom. but I was just basically acting as an agent with a very good family friend that bring in cars from abroad. And when he bring in those cars, I go to check them out. It was those days where we didn't have digital camera. We would have to get a photographer to his showroom to take pictures of cars, and I'll take those pictures to the studio films and I'll watch them and start to share, pay visits to uncles, aunties, my friends, elder brothers and sisters and parents. And in like a space of 1.5 years, I remembered I was able to sell 2 cars. I sold 2 cars comfortably. I sold a Mercedes-Benz 190 and I sold a Volkswagen Golf, I guess was 1991 model or 1992 model. The profit I thought was going to be very huge, but looking at the competition in that sector, I discovered that eventually what I made eventually was even lower than what I was making from Chin. And at the time I was selling eggs. So at some point, I learned a lesson from that experience that Biodun, before you get into any sector, you need to understand the game. You need to understand the dynamics of that sector. All right. The fact that people are looking successful in that sector does not actually mean that sector is meant for you and you have what it takes to succeed and operate effectively in that sector. That's the first lesson I learned at that point. The second lesson is that I cannot be jack of all trades. I can't keep jumping from pillar to post, from selling eggs to selling chin to selling cars. I forgot to mention that I also sold, recharge cards. Recharge cards. I also sold clothes. I forgot to mention that I also sold fairly used shoes that are brought in from abroad that we popularly called akube. And so yeah. So I usually tell people I've actually sold everything aside human parts. I've sold virtually everything aside human parts. So one of the things that guided me from the beginning as a teenager, as a young teenager, is never to get myself involved in what is not legal. All right. So, and it was one of the values I got from my parents, especially my mother. Do everything. I will support you in everything you want to do, but never get involved in anything that is dubious. All right. And then along the line, one of the major things I learned from staying positive in my business transaction is that, you see, when you are desperate, you become a slave to all. When you are desperate, you become a slave to all. But when you are determined, you become masters of all that you do. When you are determined, you become master of all that you do. So when you are desperate, you become a slave to all. When you are determined, you become a master of what you do or all that you do. All right. So I started to think to myself, Abiodun, you need to specialize. You need to be known for one thing. You need to be known. You need to have your core. You need to be focused. You need to stay stable on something. It's not a bad idea to have investment in virtually everything. We have the likes of Dangote, the likes of Richard Branson. But if you look into their story, you find out that they started with one thing first before they now started getting into other sector and all of that. So I started to think, Abiodun, what is it that you want to focus on? And with the help of seminars, with the help of mentors, what I could get from seminars and a mentor is the fact that you need to get involved in something that you love to do. I mean, what you have passion for, and that you need to go and look for it. We cannot tell you. It's unlike when you go into the lab to do a medical test, they take your blood sample and they take it, through the machines, and they come back to say, young man, this is what you've got. All right. But in this situation, the best they could do is to assist me, or with administer sort of questionnaires, on what I am wired for. So I started attending different seminars on discovering your purpose, discovering your potential, discovering your purpose, discovering your potential, and all the seminars I attended, they kept telling me the same thing. What do you love to do? What is it that you can do without money and all of that? So I kept digging in, I kept researching, I kept asking questions about what is it that Biodun Folawiyo is wired to do. And you see, one of the things I learned from that is this: when you find yourself in such situation, as regards what type of business you want to focus on, you want to venture into, think less about what is in vogue. Think less about what is trending. Don't let that be a distraction. Right now, one of the things that are the trending stuff around me right now, it's maybe, what is it again? IT, talking about web designing, talking about photography, event planner, makeup artistry, tailoring, all of these things. You see them everywhere on different social media platforms, making money, doing good, and all of that. So when you get to that angle of your life, try as much as possible not to be biased. Take time out to discover exactly what that thing is. And while you're trying to discover, survivor is not a sin. Survivor is not a sin. What do I mean by that?
Someone is raising his hand.
Okay, Nelson. Yeah.
And you can
please go ahead.
Nelson, you can ask, or we move ahead. Okay, let's continue.
All right. So, like I said earlier, survivor is not a sin. So while you're waiting to determine what thing you've been created for, or God has given you to survive with, you just keep doing every other thing that would generate income to you. So while I was doing all of this, I didn't stop doing my egg business and recharge card business on the side. But remember, I came from a comfortable family. So my case was not a situation of trying to survive. It wasn't a situation of I was trying to pay school fees. It wasn't a situation I was trying to support my siblings. It was a situation of me wanting to start to exercise my skill of entrepreneurship early in life. And you see, one of the major things as touching entrepreneurship is the ability to sell. Ability to sell. And I know well enough, early enough, that irrespective of what my passion is or what I would focus on eventually, I need to learn selling skill. I need to learn how to sell. I need to learn to get a no as an answer and still believe in that product that I have. All right. I was using those time to be able to manage rejection from people that I see as my support, as my pillar. All right. So imagine that someone like Dr. Divine, that I have so much respect for, I take a particular product to him and I say, sir, this is the product I'm selling. It is this and that. And you expect that he should buy. And he tells me sincerely, Abiodun, I don't need this. I don't believe in this. I don't even use this. All right. So I learned how not to give up, despite when people that are close to me say they do not want to buy. All right, so I kept doing that. So while you're trying to discover your purpose, please do not quit that thing that still gives you money. So you have a paid employment, 9 to 5, that you still get paid on a regular basis. You say you are tired, you are not feeling challenged anymore. I know, but my sister, my brothers, hunger, lack of inability to pay your bills, inability to buy diapers, inability to buy baby food or pay school fees is more frustrating than having to go to an office where you are no longer having fun or you're no longer feeling, feeling yourself. I hear things like, I'm no longer feeling myself. I'm no longer feeling challenged. The one that really get me really surprised is when people say, I'm not feeling challenged anymore. The job is too monotone, or is too, what's that word again? It's too simple. It's not challenging my mental faculty. And I tell them, start something on the side that will not let you sleep at night. Start something on the side that will challenge your mental faculty that is sleeping. Get something. Get a side also that will wake you up and make you do that thing that you want to do. So don't give us that excuse that you are getting tired. Don't give us that excuse that I was in a session organized by Dr. Divine, and one fantastic speaker. When you see this guy, from the texture of his skin, you will know this guy is doing very well. When you see this guy, you think this guy is speaking from the UK. Man, the guy was looking fresh. Man, if you hear the guy's profile, I don't waste my time more. After that program, I went into my room and I cried. My brother, please don't mention my name anywhere. Thank God this session is recorded. If I hear you mention my name, I will request for this session from Dr. Divine to be played so that I will clarify that this skin that is shining, there are things under the skin that is sweating, even as an entrepreneur. All right. The reason why I was invited by Dr. Divine to be part of this program this morning is not because Dr. Divine assumed that everything is sorted. I'm sure Dr. Divine also understands that every entrepreneur will keep dealing with challenges and problems till kingdom come. All right. Even by the time I hand it over, maybe to my children, if they're interested in running my business, or I leave it, or they just become a shareholder, even after I'm long gone, they will keep managing challenges. All right. So please, while you are discovering what you want to focus on, please don't play down on whatever opportunity generates income for you. Please do not play down on whatever activities that generate income for you. All right. So the whole thing went on like that. I kept doing it. I kept doing researching and all of that. At some point, then I found out, after deep thought, that I have love for shoes. Love for shoes. And I discovered this love for shoes from when I was 7 years old, thereabout. I grew up with my mom, and we are 6 of us with 4 other cousins. We had 10 children raised by my mom at that time. So I became very restless one Sunday afternoon, and my mom felt like Abiodun is jobless. That's why he is restless. So let me get him engaged. Abiodun, get all the school sandals in this house and make sure you shine all of them all alone. So usually what we do before then is we have a corner in the house where we have a small box and a stool with polish and all those cleaning tools. All right, so you go to that corner at some point on every Sunday, from between Sunday morning and Sunday evening. We take turns, take your shoes there, you shine them, put them in the sun. Before everywhere gets dark, you get them back into the house so you're ready for school. But this particular Sunday, my mom instructed everyone not to go near that corner, but that they should get all their shoes, school shoes, and donate to Abiodun, the future shoemaker, to polish. I didn't know. I didn't know my mom was trying to awaken the giant on my inside. So one lesson I learned from that is that some situations of your life, some state of embarrassment, punishment, or demotion that would trigger a business venture. There are some situations in your life that will trigger a business venture. So in life, always ask God to give you the grace to see the other side of every situation. Jesus Christ was crucified and he was embarrassed, humiliated. We didn't know that was our salvation. All right. Joseph went through, or is it Joseph or Jacob now? Went through all of those humiliation, was put in prison, but we all know what happened afterwards. All right. So Joseph, so you need to understand some of those things. So reluctantly, I dare not complain. My mom was a chief disciplinarian. I dare not complain. So I grudgingly went to that corner and I decided, and annoying to not make matters worse, it was my elder brother, my immediate elder brother, which is a farmer today. I'm not surprised he's a farmer today because he was rugged. He was very, very rugged. His school uniform gets dirty like two hours into when we get to school. Somehow, his school shoes are always looking very scratched and rugged. So he threw his own school shoes to me and I started with his own. And for the first time, his shoe looked like it was just bought brand new. And, when I was done with it and I was taking it to the sun, my immediate elder brother saw me and said, Biodun, can I have those shoes? Is this my shoe? And all of a sudden, I got a standing ovation in the house that I did a fantastic job on my immediate elder brother school shoes. That then triggered my desire, and I did all of them. And the following Sunday, I requested that I would assist everybody, and at some point, I'll get to that corner and I'll see shoes waiting for me, until my mom felt like, no. You people should not get spoiled and all of that. But at times I even begged, especially my immediate other brother. I'd had to beg him with part of my protein on my rice or meal every Sunday. I'll pay him to help him. So there was a time I paid to render services around shoes. So I knew many years later, about 11, 12 years later, that Biodun, shoemaking is what you should start considering. All right. So I kept that to myself and I kept, thinking about it, especially at that time. Shoemaking was for people that are less privileged. I mean, come on. At this time, I'd gained admission into the university. All right. So my father was a professor in the same university, University of Lagos. He wanted me to be a professor like him because we look alike. If I share his picture, especially when he was about my age, he had beards like me. It was like we wear the same shoe size, all right? And he just believed that, Abiodun, you should also be a teacher. He had made my other stepbrothers, about 4 of them, he got them, convinced them to go to teachers training, So he just felt like this family should be known of the family of academicians, of teachers, as his own elder brother's family is known to be a business person. All right. So it sat me down and said, Abiodun, I want you to be a professor eventually. Welcome to University of Lagos. I want you to focus on your studies. If you graduate with a first class, I would ensure that you go for your doctorate degree in the same university where I got my doctorate degree in the US. And when you're done, you would want you to come back to University of Lagos and start to lecture. But you see, at that time, I could not say anything because shortly before my final admission into the university, my first admission was in 1998, and for one reason or the other, hello, are we still here? Hello?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. So my first admission was in 1998, and because my father felt my result was not strong enough, he sent me back to SS2. I was sent back from year 1 in 1998 to SS2 by my father, who was a professor, because he said, anything worth doing in this life is worth doing well. Anything worth investing your time in is worth doing at what class. He said, my results, they are not solid enough, and that his conscience will keep pricking him. That he's a professor, and he's even a professor in the Faculty of Education. Biodun, you have to go back to SS2. In fact, he wanted me to go back to SS1. The then Minister for Education was his very good childhood friend. Convinced him and said, okay, they were deliberating, and somehow some other person stepped in and begged for SS2. Long story cut short, ladies and gentlemen, I went back to SS2 in 1998. I learned a lesson from that. The lesson is anything that is worth doing is worth doing well. It's not a competition. It's not a race. It's not a question of who gets into the university first. It's a question of who gets in and get the best and comes out with something solid. All right. So, and it's the reason why, when some persons die at the age of 100 years old, aside the obituary, aside may his soul rest in perfect peace, there's really nothing to write about that person. Probably that person just lived for self. Then you hear of someone that lived for maybe 45 years, 50 years, and what they write about them is like this person lived for 450 years. So every time, every moment, and every second of our life, we need to make it count. So I learned a big lesson from that. Of course, the lesson was not learned immediately. I was bitter. I was dejected. But I was then caught up in, two questions. That was when this verse of scripture started to make sense to me. In the Bible says, I said before you this day, death and life, choose life so that you may live. So every day, waking up today, whether we know it or not, scripture has it. The universe have two choices in front of us. Unfortunately, someone in the part of the world, someone somewhere would most likely commit suicide today. Because when that person woke up, he woke up to choose to make a choice. So the Bible said, I said before you this day, Biodun, death and life, choose life so that you may live. And the good thing I love about that examination is that there's an expo for the examination. It's an expo. So, as God is setting it before you, He's also telling you, choose life, you'll thank me later. All right? There are no examination in the world where you'll be given a question, and you're given the answer. So it then dawned on me, Biodun, it's either you make this experience make you, or you make this experience destroy you. So then he said, Biodun, you will not go back to a day school. I'm going to send you to a boarding school. So I went to a boarding school. All right. And then I learned goal setting. I learned planning. I learned time management. And the fortunate thing about boarding house is that you have enough time to read and you have enough time to yourself. All right. So, so when I got to SS2, I went to buy the syllabus of the exams I'm going to take like a year and a half later ahead of me. I bought the white syllabus, and beyond the things we were being taught, I started to read ahead of time. So in business, one of the lessons I got from that is that some things you will do in 2 years. The proof that you will do it in 2 years is about the activities you engage today. There are things that we started to do this year in my business that the process actually started like 3 years ago. It's not rocket science. Jesus Christ planned his 3-year ministry for 30 years. It was even planned over 30 years. Prophets knew he was coming. Mary's mother knew who he was going to be. His father, Joseph, knew who he was going to be. When he started to grow up at a tender age, he knew who he was. He knew who he is. So it's not rocket science. There's a plain place of planning in life. So I started to WAEC. I did NECO. That was the year NECO started. It was my set back then that NECO started. And I did GCE. These 3 exams in all gave me an average of about 15 A's, 15 distinctions. So I took them confidently to my father. And I asked my father a question. I said, Daddy, is there any how I can sell any of my results? Because I have more than enough for the next admission. Yeah. Then he looked at me. I said, now, you are my son. He said, you are my son. And he took me out for lunch, And it was then I realized that when you succeed, when you have results, you'll be celebrated. So I got back to school. So when my father called me into that meeting, after I did my final admission, he told me after all of that. But at that time, I knew, I'd cleared off my mind that I wanted to be a professor. All right. I wanted to be a shoemaker. So he looked at me and I said, okay, Daddy, fine. I could not tell him it's shoemaking that I wanted to do now. Remember my history. All right. Before he then sends me back to JSS2 or JSS3. All right. So that was what I decided to do. So I started to think about this. And at the time when we had that conversation was after my first semester in the university. I was on first class, and it was one of the reasons my father was encouraged to cheer me on, to encourage me to keep doing what I was doing. So I looked around and I felt, what should I do? I went to the guidance and counseling department to tell them what I can do, to guide me, to help me, to assist me, advise me. And they asked one question: what course are you studying right now? I said accounting. I said accounting, and you are looking for a course related to shoemaking? I said yes. The 2 ladies I met, they looked at me and said, this is a spiritual attack. And that I should know, and I should remember that my father is a polygamist. He has wives, and maybe one of them had finally gotten at me through my future and my academics. Long story cut short, I knew they didn't have an answer to my question. I walked up to a roadside shoemaker and I decided to enroll. I come back every Friday from hostel. I stay with him Friday, Saturday, till at times Sunday, getting back to school Sunday evening. And while I was learning, I started selling shoes on campus in University of Lagos. And I remember that after like 3 months of business or 4 months of getting into the business, I made about 25,000 naira profits. I'm talking about 2004 thereabouts. Yeah, 2004 thereabouts. Yeah, my profit as an undergraduate was about, in like 2 months, I made 25,000 profit, not turnover. All right. And at some point, another war was waged against me for my father. He then discovered that I secretly converted to be a Christian. If you know my family, Folawiyo family very well, we built a lot of the massive mosque in Nigeria. My uncle was like the Pope John Paul of the Islamic community in Nigeria. He was the Baba Dini of Nigeria before he died. When he died, the family didn't have the right to his corpse, to his body. The Muslim community buried him in the mosque. He was buried in the central mosque of Lagos. So that was how deep my family was when it comes to Islam. So my father discovered along the line. They had told him when I was in boarding school that they don't find me in their mosque, in the boarding school. They always find me in the chapel, But he was trying to be sure. So when I got to University of Lagos, it was very popular, was one of the top Muslim scholars in Unilag. And so people started watching me. And I could not hide it at some point. You know what the Bible says about the light of the world? You can't put it under, you know. So he discovered and called me again and said, young man, young man, young man, you will not succeed on this path that you have chosen. If you decide to stay on this path, I will ensure I deprive you from the basic things you should enjoy. So he started to delay my school fees, all right? And at some point, I was being chased out of class, from lack of school fees. Some of the people in my department laughed at me. And that your own Folawiyo is fake. It's fake. Because the Folawiyo we know is rich enough to buy University of Lagos. So if your own cannot pay school fees, your own is fake. Until one of them looked at me again, took me aside and said, who is your father? I said, Professor Folawiyo. Prof is your father. He said, because I'm looking at you, the resemblance is there. He said, come with me. Took me into his office, went with me, took me to my father's office and asked my father, what is going on? You are more than able. You pay other people's school fees. I know a lot of children are under your scholarship. What about your son? They looked at him and said, was an omission, was a skip of mind. I had a lot. He could not, and that was the saving grace. That was how he then paid eventually. That amidst a lot of other things, But it was then I went to God in prayers. So even as an entrepreneur, you need an invisible force. Don't be deceived that a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they have one invisible force they call on. But of course, we all know the only answer, is our Lord Jesus Christ. So I went to him and I said, God, if Islam looks juicy by what my father is offering me, this Christianity of it, and I've read the Bible, you say you are the way, the truth, and the life, and that, you never leave me nor forsake me. Baba Alpha. And as a young Christian, one thing that I got whispered into my head, into my mind was, I'd made all things perfect. Walk in it and walk in it. All right. And the story of Jesus Christ started coming to mind about how the fact that he was a carpenter, he was an entrepreneur, and so are some of the resources. So there are some of the things that that set him rolling in his core. So I decided that this shoemaking thing, I'm not going to take it lightly at all, because most likely this is what will bail me out. It's looking like my father is no longer interested in me, and I'm not also interested in living as a Muslim. So I went on. I continued. I kept pressing. He stopped paying my allowance. I kept pressing. I started living on what I was getting from my mother and what I was making from business. All right. So it kept going on and on like that. Barely 2 years. I was barely in 300 level. That was 2000. Yeah, about 15 years ago. Yeah, barely in 2 or 300 level. My mother and my father died the same year. Yeah, both of them died the same year. And you see, it was then the decisions and what I've suffered started to make sense. Because I learned to be independent. I learned to make money. So I could not, you can't really refer to me as an orphan. Because at that time, I could afford to get a car. It was the same year both of them died. I bought my first car as an undergraduate from the money I made from shoemaking on campus. Although my mom died of cancer, so at some point she knew she was going to pass on. So she told me on her sickbed that, Biodun, I'm going to add some. I didn't really believe in this shoemaking thing, but the rate at which this is going, especially knowing fully well that my dad had more or less ignored me, and also knowing fully well that my dad died before my mom. So she knew that Biodun is looking like I'm also going to join him shortly. So you need some sort of additional support. So she added some money to the car that I bought back then. All right. But guess what? Because I chose my entrepreneurship journey early, I never had a better last year since my period passed on. I never. It's been challenging. Yeah. It's been tough. Yeah. But truth be told, I've never had a better last year. It's always been a better year. And you know what? He helped me to know how to relate with God as touching my business. He helped me to know how to commit some project before him. So there are times I go to God in prayers. I say, Lord, this project, what are you saying? There are times I don't hear anything. And then I know that, Biodun, you need to then engage the risk factor, because every business venture is risky. You just need to manage your risk. The fact that you're a Christian does not mean that you will not lose money. The fact that you're a Christian does not mean you don't make mistakes. So if a Christian tells you that because I'm a Christian, I'm a businessman, I've never made a mistake, my brothers and my sisters, you have to check that person. All right? Because you need to learn, how to hear from God and how to take risk. You need to learn to take risk as an entrepreneur. If you look into the Bible, when God created the heavens and the earth, at some point, the earth was without form and void. So what I could get from that is that there's always a time where it looks like everything that you are trying to do is not hard enough. There are things that you have projected that seems not to be looking like what you thought it would be. But you have to keep doing it. You have to keep trying, and you have to keep believing in yourself. So it's been a wonderful journey. It's been quite challenging. Part of the other factors I've learned along the line is relationship. Relationship is life. Relationship is life. You wonder why they ask you for your surname first, or they ask you for your full name. It's because they want to know who you are related to. Am I right? They ask you for your first name and your surname. You have people ask you questions, who is your father? It's the power of relationship. Then they go ahead to ask you your religion. Are you a Christian or a Muslim? They want to understand your spiritual relationship. Who do you call on? Is it Muhammad or Jesus Christ? Now, they also want to know your state of origin. They want to know your ethnic relationship. They want to know your address. They want to know the kind of street where you live. There are some certain people when you want to employ them and they tell you where they live. It gives you an impression of who they are. All right? If someone, for instance, you want to employ a customer service personnel, and the person says, for those of you that are familiar with Lagos, the person says, I live in Banana Island, or I live in Ikoyi, or I live in Lekki Phase 1. It gives you an impression that this person will probably be a cautious person. Cautious person. But imagine someone says that I live in Ajegule. It doesn't mean that everybody that lives in Ajegule are ruffians, or I live in Mushin. So relationship is life. We want to know who you know. And you see, your network also determines your net worth. The people you know determines how much you will be able to attract. So in building your business, one of the things I have learned, and I do every year, is to deliberately end some relationships and deliberately start some new relationships. I'm never shy about it. I can walk up to you. I've heard some things about maybe Engineer Austin, you know, and that I found out that Engineer Austin's business or network that he has would move my life from point A to point B. I'll walk up to Engineer Austin and I'll say, sir, my name is Biodun Folawiyo. This is what I do, and I would love to have you as my friend. And once I establish such relationship, I will start to invest into that relationship. I'll start to look at his likes and his dislikes. I'll start to look at his favorite football club. I'll start to think about his favorite color. I want to know his shoe size. I want to know his dress sense. I want to know his favorite food. You know, and I want to know the favorite time or the best time he loves to discuss. All of those things are investment. You need to let him know. You need to let him perceive you as an asset. The day Mr. Austin starts to perceive me as a pest or a parasite is the day he will stop picking my calls. Is the day he will see my missed call and never return my call. All right? And I would try as much as possible not to ask him for money. You see, money is one of the least form of value. The best thing you can do when you are building relationship as touching your business is to put that person in a state where they feel indebted to you. I will so much, you know, invest into my relationship with Engineer Austin to the point that Engineer Austin is feeling like I'm owing Biodun something. And imagine that Engineer Austin, I want to supply, let's imagine Engineer Austin lives in River State, and I know so well that Commissioner for Education is his Portuguese. Then I would not think about it that, okay, we want to start making school shoes, and we're looking at making school shoes for public school students in River State. And I know that when I meet with Engineer Austin can establish a meeting between me and the Commissioner for Education. One day I'll then call me, Engineer Austin, please, I need a big favor from you, sir. I don't mind if you could, you know, arrange a meeting between you, me, and the Commissioner. Thank God for the new normal. It could be virtual. I say, okay, that's not a big deal. He's my boy. We will do it easily. And I imagine that we start the meeting like this, and Engineer Austin says, Biodun is my boy. He's my boy. You know, anything he says he will do, he will do. I am done. I mean, that business is what? Is done. It's sealed and approved. I've had a lot of business successes in transaction that came as a result of that. There's some relationship that I furnished for 3 years. There's some relationship that I serviced for 4 or 5 years. And when I call for a withdrawal, so there's something my mentor taught me near this about emotional bank accounts. So when I meet someone like maybe like I'm using Engineer Austin, I hope you don't mind that I've been calling your name, you know, as a reference, I would ensure that I invest for everything that I do, every compliment that I give, every congratulatory message I send to him, every happy birthday, every prayers, every gifts, every time I attend his meeting or is having a particular program, social event, and I decide to attend, I'm depositing in my bank account. You know, I'm putting in resources in there. I am putting resources in there. And somehow it will get to a point I will say, Biodun. I've met people that will look at me and say, Biodun, you're a dangerous guy, you. Wait, what is one that you are giving me? And I've not given you anything. I'll tell them, don't worry. It's more blessed to give than to receive. Someday, when I make a request, it's like slotting your card into an ATM machine in an account where you have money. It won't tell you insufficient fund. Right? You would harvest from it. So relationship is key. All right. And like I said earlier about discovering your purpose, once you discover your purpose, you start to look for relationships that would trigger it. There's hardly any sector of the economy that I don't have a relationship. Mention it. Is it the military? Mention it. Is it the media? Is it health sector? Is it politics? Is it manufacturing? And I've also discovered that once you discover your core, for instance, my own core is leatherworks. The next thing you have to look for is you look for an environment. Remember, I talked about relationship. Look for a place in the world where that thing is done best. For me, you all know that leather works is best done in Italy. That is like the home. The other countries, no doubt. All right. So the next thing I started to think about is I started to look forward to when I'll start traveling to Italy. And I was able to achieve that like 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, where I ensured that I travel like every year. And I deliberately established relationships in Italy, to the point that some of my Italian friends and shoemakers one day said, to come to Nigeria. I hosted some group of Italian shoemakers, here in Nigeria. All right. So, and those are things that I've really done to my business deliberately that has helped it, to move forward. And once you discover your area, please focus. 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 It's good to diversify. But please, when you're even thinking of diversification, don't do it too early. Try to turn that word focus to an acronym. Someone once said, focus, F represents first. That's FIRST. O represent one, first one. C, course, U until successful. First one course until successful. Stay on one course, stay on one venture until that venture becomes successful. Every venture has its disadvantage, has its challenges from the beginning. Everyone. Go and ask everybody. First one course until successful. All right. And the yardstick for success in every course that you are on is when you have built a level of income in that business that you can easily survive on. Is when you have built a level of income that a fraction of it, when I mean fraction, I mean a small bit, can be taken from it to start another business, such that if you lose that amount of money, you will not feel it. So you can't afford to take 100% of your returns into another business. No, that's too risky. That's very, very risky. All you need to do, take a fraction. When you know you can take a fraction from your retained profit that you have saved over time to start another business, my brothers and my sisters, then I will tell you that course has become successful. And in trying to start another one, don't divert all your attention into the new business. All right? Don't put two legs in it. You might probably want to hire someone that will run the business and be giving you reports and returns. All right? So stay focused. Don't let anyone deceive you into MMM. Don't let anyone deceive you into, when you invest this one, that guy that built that mansion on your street, that's what he's doing now. Someone is telling you, it's forex trading, it's this one. I'm not saying those things don't give money. But please, before you start to diversify, ensure that that thing that you focused on is successful. And I also tell people, when you want to diversify an entrepreneur in your business, try not to stay away from your corridor. Diversify first on that corridor. For instance, we start with shoemaking, we start with footwears. Then we started to diversify into accessories like bag, wallet, belt. You can see it's still leather. At some point, we then diversified into bringing in leather from Italy. We started bringing in leather from Italy for our personal production. At some point, we then diversify into sales of leather. Now you can see the way I'm managing our risk. Now, if I bring in leather to sell and I don't get to sell it eventually, what would happen? We'll use it for production, isn't it? Yeah, we might tie money down for a while, but we will not lose that money eventually. All right. So now we are not diversifying. Our next phase of diversification is that recently, like 3 years ago, we did a research and discovered that we could get quality leather in Kano, in the north. All right. Yes, Kano in the north. Yes. I met Spanish in Kano. I met Lebanese. I met Indians. The Spanish man I met in Kano has been there for 25 years. The Lebanese guy that I started doing business with eventually, he said his generation has been there for over 100 years. And they told me, both of them told me the same thing, that Nigeria is the best country in the world. Nigeria is one of the best countries for entrepreneurs. So you just need to fight. Once you fight and you win your battle, you would succeed. So when I hear people relocate, Dangote cannot relocate. Femi, have you heard of Dangote shutting down, selling all his company to go and start business in Canada? Have you heard of him thinking of the US or London? How about Femi Otedola? I have some real estate friends right now that are doing very well that cannot relocate. They even send money to their siblings in the US, in UK, in London. They send money to them. You know, even me, when I travel to Europe, especially Italy, there are people that help pay their house rent. Yes. You know, with all sense of humility. It was when I started traveling out, I knew God has helped me. I knew how much work people do to earn as little as 2,000 euro. And that 2,000 euro goes into bills and all of that. All right. So, you know, it's when I got there, I found out and I felt stupid. And then we have imported leather like 3 times. Thank God that we got a job from one of the big banks in Nigeria. And they asked us to make wallets for them, like 6,000 wallets in a certain color. So the timing we had would not be good to import leather. We're not going to meet up with our deadline. So I was forced to go to Kano. So I hired 4 consultants. I had 4 consultants that were way older than me. I said, look, guys, I'll pay all of you. Because the bank paid me like 70% upfront. I mean, 70% upfront. So I said, look, money is not the problem. And I just got into the list of vendors for this organization. I cannot mess up. I want the best quality here. And they told me to calm down. Say, calm down. And by the time I started attending those meetings, and they brought out local quality. I didn't know that the ones I've been seeing in local markets is local quality. And they now brought out export quality. And they said, this is what you are looking for, isn't it? I said, yes. Then I looked at it. Some of them were the qualities I've been buying outside of Nigeria. Yeah, then it struck me that one of the leather fairs that I've attended in Milan, in Italy, I met an Indian that saw me, because most of the time when I attend those fairs, I'm usually the only black man for like 3 years, for 3 days. The only time I saw a black man, when I walked up to him, he then told me he's from Jamaica. He came with his wife that is a British, and he lives in London. So, you know, we have these things in good quantity, we don't even go for such exhibition. So the guy saw me and said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Nigeria, West Africa. He said, whoa, come, let me take you to my stand. I've got good goat skin from Kano, quality goat skin from Kano, from Nigeria. I was bitter. So from then I knew, Biodun, there's another sector that you need to go into, leather manufacturing, tannery. So, but right now, we started making leather locally. We tan leather, and we are thinking of exporting leather. So you can see that our diversification now, all the diversification has been in the corridors of leather. And recently, during the lockdown that occurred last year, we started to make leather face mask. Leather face mask. Yeah, it's a pity. Okay, let me see. Okay, I think I have one close to me. Leather face mask, something like this. Hope you can all see. Can you hear me? Can you still hear me? Yes. So this is made from leather. Yes. This was part of the stock of leather we made in Nigeria and some of the ones we brought in from Italy. So eventually we were able to exhaust our stock. Some of the ones that we're supposed to had sold that we have not sold because of the lockdown, we eventually used it to produce leather face masks. Guess what? This leather face mask is selling in the US. So some of our imports that we're supposed to do recently with all the new rules from CBN, you can't do Western Union outside of Nigeria and all that. I was going to bring in something from Turkey. Turkey is another country where I deliberately went to establish relationship. One of my Turkish friend is coming to Nigeria next week. I pressured him, come and see opportunities and let us talk business. All right. So there are some things I buy, accessories I buy from Turkey. I was going to transfer money from Nigeria and I got to the bank and I saw it was German. I could not transfer. It was, a bit of L from my DOM account. What is this? Then I remembered that we have an account in the US with a friend that is managing our stock of leather face masks. I then called him. What do we have? We have this amount of money. Bro, why to this account in Turkey? And it was solved. It was solved. So that's the power of building relationships. The guy that offered and volunteered to sell those masks in the US used to be a very good friend of mine in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, we are partners in this business before he pulled out. And when he pulled out, we didn't burn the bridges. We still, sustained our relationship. So now we're diversifying into export of leather because we need to make more money, more foreign exchange. Yes, we have to start because our goat skin, my brothers and my sister, is the best in the world. Louis Vuitton buy our goat skin. Gucci, some of these designers quietly, they buy from us because our goat skin is the best in the world. I know that. I've confirmed it. Our goat skin, the Ogufe, yeah, goat. It's not anything special. Goat is the best in the world. Yes, because the kind of thing they feed on in this part of the world is not gotten any part. Even if you if you take them from Nigeria, take our goat from Nigeria and take it to America, and they start to feed in America, the quality of their skin will drop. So before you curse Nigeria, before you think it is over with Nigeria, there are lots of resources God has given to us that nothing can change. And you need to identify it in your sectors. You need to identify your sectors. Are you into real estate? All right, the returns on real estate in Nigeria, you can't get it in any part of the world. Rate of appreciation, you can't get it in any part of the world. And I know every sector has one good story or the other to tell. Little wonder when I'm traveling out of Nigeria, a lot of our people are jetting out. You sit with people in the plane and you hear people say that, thank God, oh, finally, thank God, oh, I am leaving this country. And they ask me, so how far? God help us where we are going. I say, I'm going, I'm coming. I'm going on a business trip. And they look at me like a strange human being. Then when I'm coming back, I find more whites on flights, more foreigners coming back to the same country that doesn't have security, that doesn't have water, that doesn't have good road, that doesn't have light. That means in the midst of our lack, there's still abundance. So it takes an entrepreneur to be able to see in between the lines and sense the opportunities that can be seized. So my people, ladies and gentlemen, look, you cannot succeed as an entrepreneur in Nigeria if you don't believe in this country. I'm not a politician. I'm not a member of APC. I'm not a member of PDP. I'm feeling the heat of all that is happening in this country. But one of the things this country has done to me as an entrepreneur, it has ensured that I always think on my toes. There are times I'm thinking, speaking in tongues as an entrepreneur. There are times I'm in the factory and I go to my factory office and I lock the door and I'm on the chair and I'm shaking and I'm speaking in other tongues. I'm speaking in other tongues. There must be a solution. How? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? How? What do we do? Then I get an answer. There are times it's just to call my friends on a Friday to my office, make barbecue available, make drinks available. Guys, waiting to happen. I'll go run this matter. People that I know think like me. And it was a friend of mine that told me to go to Kano. When that job came, when I got the letter, the offer, I called the meeting of some of my friends. I put it on the table. Say, your guy don't get one major breakthrough. But the problem I have is leather. Is leather. What do I do? One of them said, Biodun, I told you once. He export agro commodities. So I told you once that there's leather in Kano. Right there and there, he called someone that linked me with someone, and that was it. Relationship is key. The people you surround yourself with is key. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you have 10 friends and 9 of them are employees, you are not an entrepreneur, you are an employee. You think like an employee. All right? So if you want to be an entrepreneur and you are still working as an employee, I'm not saying you should start snubbing your friends. But I'm saying if you have 10 friends that are employees like you need to deliberately go and make 15 friends that are entrepreneurs. And you have to deliberately start to see them. Me, I deliberately go see people. This weekend, I have deliberate appointment with like 3 people. You see, it's not, don't wait for party. There are some parties that I attend because I know I'm going to see some people. All right. And there are some parties that I attend. I spend most of my time outside the party because of the noise of the music, because I want to pick on your brain. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So don't surround yourself with people with where you are. Surround yourself with people that look like where you are going. And don't feel intimidated around them. When they are talking about millions, like chicken change, don't think they're intimidating you. That's their language. When they're not talking in Naira and they say that thing should not be more than 15,000. I say 15,000 and they look at you and say, no, $15,000. Let common sense even tell you that they are talking about a house. And they say to get a house should not be more than 150,000. And you are saying 150,000 naira. Abba, it's not naira now. Abba, it's dollars. Don't let dollars scare you. Another thing is, as an entrepreneur, don't let some certain amount of money scare you. They tell you to bid for a job or to come and do a job. And when they tell you the value of the job, they say it's 100 million. In your mind, you are thinking 100 million. People that have 100 million people that have rich, they are rich, they don't sleep. It's a lie, they sleep. If rich people don't sleep, there will not be any rich person again. They would all have died of stress, of fatigue. Rich people sleep. I sleep. I can tell you I am rich. I'm not bragging. I sleep. I shut down. Because if I don't shut down, if I didn't sleep well last night, I will not be active in this session. I'll be yawning. We sleep. It's because of our mindset. You need to have a mindset of abundance, especially when you're a Christian. You're not a Christian for a joke, for moi. You're a Christian for results. You're a Christian for results. Let people ask you, how are you doing it? Boss, how did you get this money? And let them whisper into their ears and say, well, now Jesus. Strategy why they use that Jesus give me. Not because you are trying to be religious, but by the time you get into your details of your life and your story, they will know truly. How do you explain when I won UN grant, how do you explain how I knew that one of the person that would interview me on the panel, one of them, at least I will know one of them. It was when I was preparing. The Holy Spirit told me, Biodun, you will succeed in this. One person, what if you get there and you know one person? And truly, I got there and I met one of the first set of customers I had, which was my friend's elder brother. It was one that I had the panel. What do you think happened? My confidence doubled. You know, when you are in an interview and you feel like you're at home. In fact, I turned the table. I became the interviewer. I started asking them questions about the program. I started asking them, sorry, if you don't mind, why is the government doing this? After asking them, how would it affect our GDP? I started asking them, how would it affect the Oga? Hold on. Go and read more about it on the internet. And I got the grant. So fine, there's a place of preparation. There's a place of prayer. There's a place of planning. And there's a place of pushing. There's a place of preparation. There's a place of prayers. There's a place of plan, and there's a place of pushing. I mean, pushing is that Dr. Divine. Boss, I don't know. I have an issue. Do you know anyone in NNPC? Do you know anyone? That's pushing. That's pushing. Especially when they know your relationship is a relationship of value. You know, you hear some people, when you call them, say, Alpha. When you call, you know they call for nonsense. Waiting up, waiting the ground. What's new? What's good? Fill me in. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to, the relationship is key. My brother, it is, some people just be sitting down around them every Sunday. I have a client immediately after lockdown that I met while selling face mask. By the way, that face mask built us out. I was able to help people with feeding from face mask. I mean, face masks that were selling one for just 2,500. In like 2 months, we made over 2 million naira from face mask. And it was inspired by the Holy Spirit. In lockdown, who wears shoes? People were just thinking about survival, how not to die, and how to feed. And I thought to myself, will I suddenly diversify from selling leather and selling food or hand sanitizer? I was conscious of, that would be a sharp diversification. 7-Up diversified from 7-Up to Too Sure. How many of you know Too Sure hand sanitizer? Too Sure is made by 7-Up bottling company. Yes, go and research. And you know what? A lot of the materials they needed, they had it before. The initial plastic they were using, that is spray gun on it, is a typical plastic of Mountain Dew. Look at it again. It's like looking at, oh yeah, boys, shall we get plastic for store? Oh yeah, bring them out before we all go hungry. Bring it out. People are still drinking 7-Up. Bring it out. But we have water now. Oh yeah, we easily get NAFDAC, whatever. They have the structures on ground. You understand? All right. So they just need to mix alcohol with water and with some other things, and they'll bottle it. And they have distribution network, consumable, selling. They have distribution network. So they flooded the market. The day I saw Too Sure on billboard and sanitizer on billboard, I said the people behind it must have some resources. I started to research. I found that eventually it was 7-Up. My brothers and my sister, when you see a thriving business, go and research their origin. You will learn a lesson from it. As an entrepreneur, you must be going about like FBI, CIA, any building that they are renovating. Who is coming here? What do they do? What are they doing? Will they survive? They are surviving. How are they surviving? Please, do you know anybody that is there? Do you know the MD of this company? Can I be his friend? Do you know the accountant? Do you know the account officer? One of the best ways to know whether a company is performing or not, know where they bank. If you have a friend in that bank, ask them. Don't give me the details. Just tell me if this company is doing well. And if our account officer says, if this guy pulls his account, the bank will shake, then you know. Forget about paparazzi. Paparazzi is not a sign of success. Don't do if paparazzi will give you money, do paparazzi. If paparazzi will just make you feel cool, when you go come to office, my brothers and my sister, they won't teach you before you pack up. This race is an individual thing, and they don't arrest latecomers. All right? Like 30 years ago, we didn't know Dangote. Like 25 years ago, we didn't know Dangote. Like 15 years ago, we didn't know Elon Musk. All right? But the truth about the matter is that success in business is the ability of people you are able to employ, how long you can survive all the turbulence, and how much of humanity you've been able to touch and affect. For my own company, we have trained over 1,500. What I do. So when you go on Instagram today, 1 out of maybe every 4 or 5 came to us. I don't know everybody, but ask them. They'll most likely mention Shoespeed and mention my name. I think I've said so much, and I believe that a lot of people want to ask questions, and I don't know how long we have left, so that I don't just, keep talking. If you leave me to talk, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I know, I can see. I can see. Thank you very much. Okay, we have 2 people that raised their hands before. We'll call them while others type their questions. We're basically going to take like 5 questions, because I know for each questions you have enough time to talk. So all of them, they are all encompassing. So I will Nelson that actually, I don't know whether he's still on the call. That Anyoke Nelson that wanted to ask his question. He said he was going to ask the question after the lectures. Anyoke Nelson, I don't know. Then
Are you still there?
2020 raised his hand. 2020. I don't know if they're still on. Okay, Anyoke, you can quickly ask your questions, but others, please type in your questions so that I can get them, so that we can run. We have 30 minutes.
Okay, so I really thank you for this presentation. I am really richly impressed about it, because I get many information. Even though I heard how he began with the change him and all.
Anyoke, sorry to cut you short. Just ask your question, please, so that we can run. We have just
so I'm going to do the question already. Especially when somebody is dropped out from a particular profession and they are still finding out to how to change of mindset, verge of your destination, you were dropped out. So, and seminary session is another word, and they now want to move into business. Is there any way we can help such person society? Thanks.
All right. So hello. So I want to get a question. You say you dropped out from seminary. Are you there, sir? Are you there?
Yes.
From the seminary.
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you join us early, you would remember I talked about discovering your purpose, what you know you can do, what you know you want to do as an entrepreneur. And you see, it's not everybody that would start up as an entrepreneur. All right. So you might want to get a job. All right. Remember what I talked about when I talked about survivor. You might want to get a decent job, a job that would give you income, pay, get a job, and one of the things I advise people like you, sir, is that when you are getting the job, don't let money also be a paramount factor. Any job that you think looks like something you like naturally, I mean, it could be anything. It could, a place where you think you love to be. So let's say, for instance, maybe you got a job with a pharmaceutical company, and they are ready to pay you 100,000, and you got another offer with maybe a place where they make clothes, and they're ready to pay you 70,000 naira. And you've always had something for clothes making, love for clothes making. You love to be around where they make clothes. All right, I would advise you pick such job of 70,000, because eventually you might find your own career and purpose in clothes making. So my brother, get a job, get somewhere where you can work, while you start to ask questions about what you want to do. And the best person that can help you is yourself. You need to look inwards and tell yourself the truth. That what would I love to do? For me, it is shoemaking. All right. For me, it is shoemaking, and you've heard my story of where other places were diversifying as a company, and also I'm really looking seriously into real estate, diversifying into real estate. A lot of people might not know that about me because a lot of people know me for operating in the leather industry. All right, but of course, real estate is also important to building factories and facility to run the shoemaking business. So I'm also looking into real estate, but it's a gradual process. So please be humble enough to start small and go big. Thank you. You are muted, ma.
Okay, thank you very much, Nelson. I am sure that you're clear now. Okay, let me go to the second question. Okay, the question is referring to when you talked about deliberately going to people to tell them that I would love to be your friend. So the question is, so doesn't it make it cold? Like
Okay.
you have a motive for becoming a friend to the person. As in, will the person understand it the other way around? As in, if I walk up boldly to someone and introduce myself that I want to be the person's friend, sometimes people might feel you have an ulterior motive and all that. So doesn't it make it cold?
Yes. So well, fine. You would always expect that. You always come in as a shocker to a lot of people because we are used to friendship by chance or friendship by accident. So Dr. Divine is having a party in his house. He invited me, and I met new persons by somehow courtesy. You just start to exchange numbers, especially when you talk and all of that. It happens. But you see, success in entrepreneurship must be deliberate. You must be deliberate about a lot of things. People would just want to be a bit careful. It's normal, and it's one of the reasons why it's easier when you are coming through somebody. So if I know I want to be close to someone that is close to Dr. Divine, I'll go to Dr. Divine and I'll try to explain to Dr. Divine why I want this person to be my friend. And I believe Dr. Divine will be able to do a good job on my behalf to establish the relationship. And because you are the one that I've offered for that friendship, you also want to be very careful not to be a parasite and a liability to that person so that you will not start to look like someone they don't want to be close to. Don't ask for school fees. Don't ask for house rent. The other relationship you've developed to the point where you can ask each other for anything. But as much as possible, stay clear from it and focus more on that thing that you need that will give you value that is unlimited. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. That balances it very well. Okay, I can't see any other question, but okay, I have a question. Basically, this might look like you're just addressing the entrepreneurs, those in business, because I can see some faces that I've not seen before, and actually they gleaned a lot. I too did. But those, because there's something about those that are in 9 to 5 that maybe have some things by the side. I want to believe that everybody is an entrepreneur, whether you're in business or you're in the corporate office, because the principles that the entrepreneurs need to lean on to be able to be successful are the same principles. So how do you kind of like bring a balance? Because I wouldn't want it to be like you just spoke only to entrepreneurs. And like you said, when you're starting, so many people might begin to think, in fact, like the way my head was busting, I might begin to say, in fact, let me go and I have a passion. And by the time I go bank, I will just wire me back to the bank. So how do you create that balance so that we in the corporate world will also know that we have a part to play? Because there is this, I call it myth. People tell you 9 to 5, you're not doing anything, you're not. But if everybody stops 9 to 5 and goes to do business, what happens? Really? Because I believe in something about 9 to 5. You can find yourself in some organizations whereby you're a decision maker. Now, if I find myself in an organization whereby I have to make decisions for entrepreneurs in Nigeria, and I have passion for them, I should be able to make the right decisions, or maybe fight so that those decisions are implemented, or maybe put in the constitution that will affect the entrepreneurs for them to do well. So if we don't have such people at the helm of our affairs, we'll keep struggling. Nigeria is blessed from everything you've said, but people are discouraged because we don't have people, decision makers at that stage, at the helm of affairs, that should be able to make the right decisions for us, especially in manufacturing industry. Can you just create that balance? Thank you.
All right. So yes, you see, for you to succeed as an employee, for you to succeed working in an organization, you must be an entrepreneur, because the truth is this: the people that earn more are those that ensure that the business make more money. They're the ones at the managerial level, that the bottom line is always a big deal to them. They're always thinking of, okay, how do we make more money and all of that. And you see some employees that eventually the owner of the business or the management, decide to make them a partner or a shareholder. Why? Because they moved from becoming an employee to become an entrepreneur. We have what we call entrepreneurs. Those are the employees that think like they own the business. And to be an entrepreneur does not have anything to do with your position in the organization. You can be the gatesman and become an entrepreneur. You can be the cleaner, the messenger, and become the entrepreneur in the business. It's simply put, by the time all you need to do is to keep thinking like the owner of the business. All right. So imagine that you are the security guy that puts on the generator when light goes off in the office. All right. And you start to think about the consumption of diesel. And you start to think that, sir, I'm just thinking that, is it not possible we have solar energy as backup so that we can reduce our consumption from 200 liters to maybe 100 liters? All right. Now, if I'm the owner of the organization, I'm the CEO or I'm the MD, and you give such suggestion, in my mind, this guy is not just thinking about his salary. He's thinking about how we pay his salary. All right. So and see, one of the problems with a lot of people, why they remain an employee and they are stuck with becoming an employee and they keep moving from one organization to the other, or when there is downsizing and they have to lay off some people they are first on the list, is because they get selfish. And you hear things like, it's not my father's business. All right. It's soldier go, soldier come. And once you start to have that thought, it will reflect in all that you do. So there are times you are supposed to close by 4 p.m. And you know, obviously, that there are some jobs on ground that would require another extra 1 hour. Of course, the agreement with them is 4 p.m. Be the first to say that I will stay back so that we can get this job done without an extra pay. If it was your business, you would do the same, isn't it? All right. I've had to work for a while with one of my mentors near Adesanya, and I played that role big time. I'm out to see how we can make money, and I'm out to see how we can save money. And the more you do that, the more you are preparing yourself for your own journey as an entrepreneur. You think you are doing it for that organization. Hey, you are doing it for yourself. Because that attitude you develop in doing good, someday you do it for yourself. But by the time you start your own business, and one thing that happened 10 years ago when you were working with the bank and you were able to solve, how it was solved, especially when you were part of the team that solved it, it will occur to you. While others are feeling, okay, what do we do? Calm down. You get how we do it. Why? Because you were actively involved in problem solving in the other organization. You're actively involved in asking questions like, sir, what can we do? It's not your business. So. And a guy will look at you and say, this lady is concerned. Yeah. This guy is concerned. I think I'm also thinking, what do you think? And they now throw it to you. And you start to think. You put the burden on your shoulder. And you're able to give is solution is 10, you gave 2 out of 10. When it's time for promotion, you will be considered.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. It's natural. So it's giver's attitude. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, shall men give to your bosom. Give when you are in a paid employment, and shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, shall men give unto you when you start your own.
Yeah.
Give, and shall be given unto you when you're working in someone else. So that by the time you start to employ people, pressed down, shaking together, shall your own staff also give unto you. It's a principle of life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very natural. So, and also being an employee, it doesn't stop you from having a side also. We forget that, people say 9 to 5. Thank God you also mentioned it, man. 9 to 5 is how many hours in 24 hours? 8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So doctors say we should sleep for 6 to 7 hours, isn't it? All right. Add 7 hours. That's, isn't it? 15 hours. 15 hours minus 24. 15 hours minus 24. That is 9 hours. Can't you start a business that will be spending 5 hours on every day on the site? What it means, you spend less time with television. What it is that that party with that thing that you are doing. You just need to be deliberately disciplined. Deliberately disciplined. So start something small on the side that you can invest maybe 4 hours on or 3 hours. Imagine what you invest 3 hours on a daily basis. Imagine what you will achieve in 3 years with that. Just think about it. Thank you.
I don't know. I always tell people that bottom pot the sweet pass. This is the last of the series of Get Set, and somehow it just stopped that way. Bottom pot the sweet. I'm so glad. I don't know if 2020 is ready with his question. He didn't chat his question. Okay, Dr. Divine has something to show. He's going to share his screen with you shortly.
Okay.
But is 2020 ready for his question? That's the remaining question we'll have to take before we wrap it up. 2020. Is he here? Okay, he's not ready. Okay, while Dr. Divine comes up with what he's about to share, I just want to talk about next month's series, and it's starting off with a very great and a prolific speaker. I just want to talk about him in a minute. Okay, he has started.
Hello, Biodun. Biodun, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. So I just want to share, I was going through some of the shoes on your listing.
Yeah.
This shoe, you need to think of how it will get to me tomorrow. This very one I'm showing you, it should be in my house tomorrow. So whatever you are going to do to make it happen.
Yes. You can't see the shoe.
You can't
see it yet. No.
Can you all see this shoe?
No.
But Biodun, can you see it?
No, I can't see it. It's not showing yet. It's still it's loading, sort of.
It's loading. Oh, probably it's my network.
Yes.
It's my network. Wow. What? Wow. People need to see this shoe. The shoe is something else. It's something else. It's something I think, okay, if you can't see the shoe, then I will send it to you privately, Biodun, so that you can work with it. But I actually wanted everybody to look at a sample of your works. I don't know if you can share from your own side.
Okay, okay.
Share from
let me see. let me see if I can share.
Okay. Maybe from
let
your
me see if I can
Instagram or
share.
something. Just share some stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can share.
I've also sent the two
Sorry.
shoes to your WhatsApp anyway. If you can share your WhatsApp online too, I've shared it.
Okay.
Sent it to you, two of them.
Okay. Okay. WhatsApp images. Okay. Okay. Is it this? Hello, is it this?
This is one of them. This is one of them.
One of them. Okay, let me.
This is one of them.
This is one of them. Then the other one that is like ankle.
Yeah, the ankle boot, the black ankle boot.
Okay, okay. So after now, I'll just get your size so that we make it available.
Fantastic.
All right, and for every other person that want to see more of our product, you can go to at Shoe Speed. The name of the company is Shoe Speed. At Shoe Speed on Instagram, you can get to see our product. I can do us a DM. All right, and let me just quickly drop my details. Okay, let me drop the Instagram handle and my phone number, so you can send me WhatsApp messages. Okay, it's at hold on, please. Instagram IG is at Shoe Speed. All right, then my personal phone number, that's my WhatsApp number, is 00231 33338. At Shoe Speed, 00231 33338. So I've sent it now to as a chat. I hope we can all see it. So for any of us that also needs other questions as regards your guidance, as regards what you do, I know we don't have much time. All right, so you can reach out to me. I'm quite busy, but trust me, we can always create time and talk, guide you. I love to guide upcoming entrepreneurs. I love to team people, because I believe when I think about your business, mine also gets better. I stretch my creative capacity. So please feel free.